My Little Pony, Season 9, Episode 11, Student Counsel. Yeah, I just want to think, one thing to start off the bat here. I love Mudbriar and Maud.
I do. I love Maud Breyer.
Maud in and of herself is amazing, but
Maud
but
Breyer is just the perfect couple.
it's just like, when they first came out, it was like, okay, I'll run with it. Exactly what Limestone was saying is like, I don't really see what she sees in him as much, but it's like, I'll just, take it as granted for now. She's a side character, so, then, like, you see him in action, and it's like, yeah, these two were made for each other in a very odd mold. They didn't cook them quite right.
He was turned into a giant hunk of stone.
You got hunk right.
On the hunk.
Yeah, you got the hunk part right. It's like, okay, Maud, I know you like rocks.
It's like, do we really have to change him back?
Like, I'm kind of torn about that.
Yeah, it was that whole phrase at the end with Mudbriar. It's like when he's talking about it.
Technically, I'm still a stick pony, but I do have a greater appreciation for these solidity and strength of rock.
Yeah, technically I'll always be a stick pony, but the experience has given me an even deeper appreciation for the density and permanence of rock. And Maud swoon. It's like,
I love that she says swoon.
Yeah. Well, and the funniest thing is, like, when I'm pulling these quotes, like, I'll pull up the wiki, pull up the transcript, and copy and paste them.
Wiki.
Yep. And I'll copy and paste it directly into the review, so I don't have to go back and look at it. I don't have to pull it up every time. I can just go, oh, this is the quote I wanted, this is the quote I wanted. And next to every, basically, every line of Maud's just says deadpan in brackets as sort of a stage direction. Is like, it's Maud. Do we need to have stage directions like that? Like, unless she is not being deadpan, if she stops being deadpan, yes, note that. But it's Maud.
Like, hey, howdy ho, I'm Maud.
Yeah, if she had some weird, Discord thing happen and she started acting like Pinky, it's like, okay. And we can try and imagine what that's like. Maud acting like...
I'm Pinkie Pie.
What would her hair look like? Because we know straight hair in the Pie family, from what we can tell from Pinky, is something, someone more serious. But when they get silly, their hair goes crazy. What would Maud's crazy hair look like?
It probably wouldn't be too crazy. Probably more angularly crazy.
Or it would turn into a boulder.
She'll have a fro.
No, I want to see like an older picture of Maud, like when she was in the pony equivalent of high school, like a while. It's probably been a while, but like, and she's gone full fro, just and shaped it into the shape of a boulder. It's like, yeah, that was an awkward phase. I don't know. I like the boulder. Mom didn't.
She put so much hairspray, it was hard as a rock. That was the point.
Yes. But I couldn't get my rock. I couldn't get my my hard hat on my head, so I had to take it back down.
That was her rock star phase.
Yeah, but then when she decided that what she was going, when she was just their equivalent of high school and just studying basic stuff, wasn't out in the field yet, or wasn't going into caves. Like, yeah, then I started to go spelunking, and then I needed to put on a helmet, and so I needed to take the hair back down, or else I couldn't wear the helmet. or I tried to put the helmet on over the boulder, but it kept springing back out. You just imagine taking this giant, sort of throwed out, boulder shape. She's trying to press it into her mining helmet, and then she gets it on, gets the light turned on, and then thump. I guess I'll have to change it. Oh well. Nice while it
lasted.
Anyway, so beginning, Trixie has set up quite the nice picnic for the two of them, but Starlight keeps popping in and out, tending to her counselor duties. Trixie is 110% done with this. With the aggressive tea drinking. It's like, only Trixie.
Yeah. I made this teacup specially for this instance.
I turned a squirrel into it.
I'm really liking Trixie more and more.
How do you like her more than her original? Than?
No, I mean, she is good now, but she still has that
sass.
Yeah, quality to herself.
She's an unapologetic self-promoter.
Well, she, aside from when she was Alicorn amuleted, was never truly evil.
She was just a little inconsiderate.
Well, at first, she was kind of that Barnum and Bailey show pony thing where she wasn't scamming anybody really. She was, puffing herself up a bit, but she wasn't doing anything really evil or illegal.
She was selling, telling bad, stories that aren't true, which ended up coming back to bite her with the.
Yeah,
but it wasn't her fault because Snips and Snails were the ones who went and did it. So it's she may have lied about her story, but they're the ones who went out and did it.
Exactly.
So she didn't actually. So if they hadn't done that, there would be nobody hurt by her story. Everybody was entertained, and she moves on the next day.
Exactly. And then the next time she was consumed by an evil power. And after that, the only times we see her, she's not really doing anything wrong. She's just a traveling show pony.
Yeah, well, she's fairly normal. She's not perfect. She's flawed, but not
who
all.
isn't?
But all the characters have flaws, and they're not flawless. They're a work in progress. They've got dents and they've got quirks, but it's their faults that make their flaws that make them work. Make it work.
Yeah,
yes, I just quoted flawless from what was it? Fame and Misfortune or something like that.
Am I the only one who doesn't remember that song?
Yeah.
Kyle had quoted that song a while ago, like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I do not remember that, but I didn't want to admit that. So.
Yes. Shun the one who does not remember the music. Anyway, yeah, we're not flawless. We're a work in progress. We got dents and we got quirks, but it's our flaws that make us work. Yeah, and it basically goes through all the. It goes through all of them, like what they, at least what they think their flaws are, or what the writers, say this is what their flaw is. Some of them right on, like Rainbow Dash is like, I've got an ego as big as a whale, but I got that confidence gives me the courage to fail, or something like that. And Rarity's like, I can be a drama queen, a bit stuck up, it's true. And Applejack, I can be a little too eager to please, and sometimes you can be too honest too. And then it goes into a reprise, and then the whole Fluttershy gets hers, and Pinky gets hers, and all that stuff. But it goes through like
Pinky gets hers.
they all get their little moment in the. This is what my flaw is. It's like, yes, this is. We're not perfect. We know we have flaws. We'll work on them, but you can't really, it's really hard to be flawless. Because a flaw one way is a virtue one way can be a flaw for something else. But anyway,
perfection just makes you boring.
Yes. And but right in the middle of Trixie complaining about her not having enough time for her, she pops out again.
Yeah.
This is where it reminded me a bit of 11 popping in and out in the Big Bang. What would have been really funny is if for just one of these pop-ins, she had a fez.
That would have been a little too on the nose.
It would have been a little too on the nose, but it would have been a funny reference. Like, why does she have a fez? Why a fez? People who've watched Doctor Who would immediately go, oh, okay, yep. but everybody else like, or a Stetson. Why do you have a Stetson?
Like, oh damn! I meant to grab a flower pot. Be right back.
But yeah, Rarity can relate to her to a very busy friend.
Yeah.
It's like miffed unicorns annoyed at their very busy friends.
I think we need a Workaholics Anonymous.
Push Starlight and Applejack into a room. It's like,
and
yes.
Twilight.
And well, Twilight, yeah, to an extent.
Probably Pinkie Pie too.
She seems actually.
She knows how to balance her shit.
Yeah, and that's one of her things. Like, I mean, it's in a different aspect. Like, for all of her, goofiness, she's actually got a lot of really.
She's
balance.
really organized.
She's really balanced and really organized because, like, the whole thing about It's About Time was Twilight was too focused on the future and wasn't living in the present, and Spike wasn't taking any preparations for the future and was paying for it later. And then you have Pinky in the middle, who had made some preparations, some reasonable preparations, but was also living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was the middle way between them. And and we also find out she's very organized, and that's how she maintains all this.
It's Pinky cave.
Yeah. Which means that it really does, once she's got all that information, she doesn't actually have to work that hard to keep up. She can just keep a calendar and go, oh yeah, I need to do this. Okay. Dook.
Yeah, and once you get set up, it's a lot easier to keep it, keep on top of things than try to catch up. And the problem that Twilight and Applejack and Starlight have is they constantly let themselves get overwhelmed. And especially Twilight and her twilighting.
Yeah.
But all of them, they don't know how to manage their time properly.
Yeah. They have work-life balance problems.
Yeah. And Applejack, she learned how to become a little more succinct with her things because some of the traditions just didn't work anymore, and she learned how to go past that. So she's gotten better at that, although she's still a major workaholic because she's just addicted to work.
Mm-hmm.
But Starlight, her problem is she's addicted to work because it makes her feel important.
Well, and it makes her.
It helps her get rid of the guilt she had before.
Yeah, that's what I was.
And it makes her feel useful, helpful, special, because she feels like she did all these bad things before, and there's red in her ledger, as the thing goes, and she's trying to make amends for that, and so she's trying way too hard to make amends, and she enjoys people meeting her in a good way.
Yeah. It's that feeling of yeah, like you said it perfectly. Red in your leisure. She did so much, and she caused so much pain and such, that she's like, I can't I gotta do something to sort of atone for all that. And this is how she atones, and the more she helps, the more she feels like she's cleaning up bit by bit, using her checkered past to take some of that red in her ledger and knock it back a little bit. I mean, she may not ever finish clearing out her journal, her ledger, but she may not zero out her ledger ever completely, but she can definitely shrink the red.
Yeah.
And that's but she just doesn't have a work-life balance idea. She just doesn't understand that.
And then with the whole taking too much of, Trixie's like, okay, so we have to do this, 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 and this. It's like, okay, so how about we split it, and I'll do this and this, and you do that. But as soon as I come back from that. And her problem is she doesn't plan herself well enough. She doesn't actually...
She doesn't have barriers. She doesn't have borders.
No.
It's like, that was one of the big things at the end, was like, would it help if I just set office hours and like, this is when I'm open, this is when I open, this is when I close. I close when that happens. When at the end of the day, that's when I close. So be more careful with what you're asking, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's really trying to be a good counselor, but she's just like, you gotta set barriers, you gotta set boundaries, and say, no, these are the hours I'm going to do it.
And
that way.
Some of that stuff was not counselor things. A good counselor would have said what she said to Silverstream ages ago.
Yeah. Well, on certain things, like,
certain things, like
yeah,
the shower thing, she's like, that's not something that you need my help with.
Yeah, you can ask your friends or something like that, and you can think about it yourself. But like stuff like, Ocellus is having identity issues. It's like,
yeah,
that's kind of a serious thing, and that's something that, a counselor, that's kind of within their purview. It's like, yeah, you're having issues trying to manage that. Okay, and then trying to manage
Deanna Troi would have laughed in Silverstream's face. Okay,
yeah.
She would have been like, "Okay, you don't need me for that."
Yeah, trying to arbitrate the Gallus and Smolder thing. Okay, that with Twilight gone, that was definitely in the counselor's purview, considering she was basically, acting head mare for the moment as well, because that sort of covers both as a counselor and as temporary head mare. It's like,
it's just generally a counselor thing to do anyways. They would have a counselor there for that kind of issue.
But yeah, negotiating that, okay. But yeah, each of them had a, it's, all the ones that were asking.
Yeah, but the whole braids thing, that is something.
Yeah, that was a little bit.
Go ask Gallus or Ocellus or anybody with claws.
Yeah. Silverstream would probably be all too happy to help. I mean, she may or may not be skilled at it, but she's all too happy to help.
Yeah.
I don't know how good she would be with braids, but I know she would try to help.
Yona, you would be, you are best yak. You can help Silverstream with her adjectives, and Silverstream can braid your hair while you're doing that.
Yes.
Aww.
Yes. And you can teach her how to do the braids, and that way, you don't have to always come to me for help. And, Silverstream is always eager to help, and if she's getting helped in return, all the better. So,
Yep.
for all the
And
things
that
you can
is
say about
something,
Silverstream, she loves helping. But
and that is something she should have thought of, being being a counselor. Arbitrating like that is something she should have done.
all right. So
Although I do feel really, really bad for that blue stallion.
yeah, we have no idea
That
whether his problem was serious or not.
Yeah.
I think it was, because he started crying when she slammed the door. He
Yeah,
looked
I kind
really
of feel sorry
emotionally
for him. It's
distraught.
like you might have actually had a problem.
He looked like he was about to cry before, like when she's like, "Nope, she's closed. Counselor's office is closed.
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
something really important to discuss."
yeah. After going back to my notes, we have theme, and then after Silverstream wastes her time asking for help describing a shower, she foreshadows her report on hazardous fauna of the Everfree. Like that will come up later. She foreshadows it here. It's like so when she says she never told me anything about her report. She technically did, just in passing.
Yeah.
But Trixie rescues her by trying to get her to leave work to prepare for the party she's forgotten, because she's gotten so tied up in her own work that she's forgotten. And
And
there's
Trixie never breaks a Trixie promise.
yeah, Trixie tries to keep the great and powerful Trixie tries to keep her promises. But one thing, there's a small error, but it could be read as one of two things. Either, because I don't think they make the same mistake later, but it could be just she's not thinking straight because she's dealing with stuff. But she says, to explain why the main six aren't there, she says the main six are in Canterlot for the spring solstice. It's the
Yeah,
spring equinox.
they
They get it
yeah
right the
they
rest of
no
the episode, but they mess
no
up
they
that
don't
one.
no
I don't seem to remember.
they say it was some sort of, it wasn't, they didn't say equinox at all. They spent
No, they said
the
equinox
entire
on
time.
several occasions.
That's what
I have the quotes right here. Where is it? What do you mean Trixie already picked up Sunburst's genuine pre-equestrian equinox chafing dish? It was my job, I think. Wait, was it?
well, the chafing dish, but
See, you can't
the
close.
party
Trixie and I
was
need to learn the recipe
solstice.
for your equinox cake. Like every time
Yeah,
they mention it after that, it's
but the
all
party was
right.
solstice something.
Well, no, it's
Solstice.
not. There is no such thing as a spring solstice.
I know there's no such thing as a spring solstice.
Yeah.
It's the equinox. The
Yeah.
solstice is the longest day or night of the year.
Yeah, those are your summer and winter.
And the equinox. I know that.
But
But
yeah, she just messed it up on that first one. I chalk that up to either she was flustered or whoever was looking over the script to just double check everything missed it on the first go. Wasn't looking for, oh, is this scientifically accurate? And they were just like, oh, yeah, whatever. Spring solstice? Okay.
Or maybe in the land of magical ponies, spring has the longest day.
Well, it's just that it's just messed up once. The rest of the episode, they get it all right every time. Every time after that, I don't think they mess up once. It's just that one time they call it a spring solstice. Everything else is equinox. Just they messed it up on the first one, which you could put down to Starlight being overworked and not having good barriers, good boundaries. Anyway, which with the but she completely forgotten about the party. Mod. Maud needs streamers for the decoration. Sunburst wants to pick up a
Yeah,
genuine.
spring solstastic. It was what they called the party that Maud and Mudbriar was.
Okay, well, I may have missed that particular one, but the rest of it, they were like, oh no, it's spring equinox.
The ingredients or whatever. No, it says even in the thing. It says because I'm looking at the transcript right now. And I thought we were both looking forward to Mrs. Cake teaching us the secret recipe of her famous spring solstice cake. The entire I'm like, I didn't remember the equinox.
Yeah.
And
There's a little.
solstice
Okay, there's a
cake
couple more little things here, but they bring up equinox later. Yeah, like around the chafing dish, and at the beginning of it, they say that, and then, yeah, and then wait, Mrs. Cake, you can't close. Trixie and I need to learn the recipe for your equinox cake. So yeah,
so at the beginning, the Trixie is saying solstice, Starlight says equinox.
Yeah, so they basically just go back and forth, and it's like they don't know which one happens when, and they just sort of randomly say solstice or equinox depending on, I don't know, roll of the dice. They didn't really check very well, assuming the transcript is accurate, which we're doing. Well,
I remember them saying solstice because that I had the same thought you did about, wait, that's not.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Solstice? And that's why it's stuck in my head so much, the solstastic. It's like, wait, solstice? No. Why? No.
Yeah. It's like the solstice is in the summer, and that's or winter, and that's the summer one is the summer sun celebration. And I assume that the winter solstice is probably hearthwarming.
Yeah.
I assume. I could be wrong.
That's usually what it is.
That seems like that would, if I was going to place it, we don't really, I don't know that we've ever, there probably is some little thing where they mentioned it being on the longest night of the year or something. But yeah, the solstice, that if I was going to plant it somewhere, that's, especially with it being an analog to Christmas, that's probably about when I would place it, be around the solstice.
I didn't even notice, but my my nephew has a bunch of has a seeds grow a tree thing of Pinus sylvestris, and that was listed. One of the comments Mudbriar made. Technically, pine trees like Pinus cembris and Pinus sylvestris can grow from narrow crevices or cracks in rocky rhizosphere.
Mm-hmm.
You complete me.
Which seems like, wow, it's another tangent, so I won't go into it much, but like, what would their ideal wedding site be? Something like a pine forest where they have but like not the Everfree because it's dangerous, but like someplace with a nice pine forest.
A mountainous, over one of those mountain areas that have a plateau covered in pine trees.
Yeah, especially if it's got a cave in it where they can have the ceremony inside a cave. So they're surrounded by rocks and little you can see little pine tree roots, sort of growing along the edge of the thing.
And a bed of to soften the rocks, they have a bed of pine needles, dried pine needles. Instead of flower petals.
No, instead of that you have twigs and pebbles. That's their flower. Their equivalent of the flower girls tossing twigs and pebbles everywhere.
No,
maybe pine needles and pebbles or something like that, because you don't want the actual twigs wouldn't be quite. So maybe like leaves or pine needles or something like that.
Well, I don't know.
And there is no such thing as flowering sticks.
Yeah, she said something like not pine, plum blossoms, which I think plum blossoms are they kind of look like they're um, uh, flowers on sticks. If you see them, they don't really. They just sort of come out of sticks. They just, if you break them off, they look. It looks just like a flowering stick.
I guess any tree flower really.
But yeah,
I like how she was dedicated, just gluing them to the stick.
Yeah,
that was incredibly cute. It's like
it was,
it's
and
just
then
like,
it's like technically these sticks are glued to the thing, so
these
these
flowers
flowers are
just
glued to the
No.
sticks, so it wouldn't have been perfect anyway.
But that's not important. I like that. Like he does his well technically, and well, it wouldn't have been perfect, but like when he realizes he's kind of.
But that's probably not important.
It's usually that's not important, or he says something to sort of. Sorry, I just getting technical. It's just what I do. It's in my nature, and so yeah, he's just sort of. I've got to.
Like technically, we couldn't let you handle this alone. Technically,
She wasn't alone. But that's
but
not.
We wanted to help anyway.
We wanted to help you anyway. It's something like that. It's like, yeah, he's got that need to be accurate, but not so much that he forget. He'll accidentally do it, but like he'll come back afterwards and say, "Oh," he'll read the reaction enough to go, "Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry about that," or adjust it a little bit so it's not quite so insensitive. Let's see. Okay. But Sunburst wants us to pick up a genuine pre-equestrian spring solstice chafing dish from the antique shop. Given how long it's been since Equestria was established, that's got to be a style rather than an actual dish that's more than a millennia old.
Yeah.
Because
that would be in a museum or something.
Yeah. Indiana Jones would be walking to that antique shop. This belongs in a museum. And that belongs in a museum.
It's like,
would you like to purchase it for the museum?
It's like,
I'm leaving.
First wants it.
But all right. Yeah, Starlight's completely distracted and is driving Trixie up the wall with her lack of focus. Yeah, we got the rose lip making flowering
What
sticks.
you really should have used as the picture for this one was that one picture, that one scene where she has that like snarly face when they're walking down the thing and she's getting all like, well, the great and powerful Trixie doesn't break her promises. And she has that like real sneery face that totally contorted.
Or the picture of Roseluck gluing the flowers to the stick. That probably would have been a better one. But I thought the one I picked was funny too.
I don't know what one you picked.
It's basically it's a shot of them. The second they realize the cockatrice is behind them, and all of their heads are poking out above the cliff, and they all have that scared look, that sort of look, but it's all of their heads are peeking out over the cliff, and so it's sort of this nice. You get a full shot of basically almost everybody but Silverstream in the episode, and they're all got kind of a funny face. But yeah, if I thought about it, I should have made that a Roseluck thing where she's gluing. It's like that would have been ridiculously cute.
I gotta say though, Trixie had a whole bunch of expressions this episode that I just
She
loved.
did. She was very expressive.
Yeah, they're going all out for the last season with the faces. Like
They're like,
every episode
they're like, we have all of these these rigs. We need to use them.
yeah, or we should make another rig for this face. Yes. Or one shot. Let's do a little extra thing here. Do a weird face. But apparently Smolder was bringing fire because it was drafty. She scorched the interior of Gallus's book. How she'd managed not to burn the binding at all is another thing, but her unapologetic sly smirk was hilarious. It's like, he's pissed. You burned my book out. And he's like, ugh! And she's just like, just this sly little, I don't, no regrets. I don't care what happens. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But just be glad you had to talk to Starlight and not Twilight. Burning a book to a crisp is going to get you strung up by your talons by Twilight. She might have you copy.
She's going to replace you with a freaking owl, dude.
Hey, what happened to Smolder? Smolder is no longer of this world.
Who is Smolder? Who's Smolder? Oh, you know the orange dragon? There's never been such a dragon here. It's just Spike.
What? You mean Spike? No, the orange dragon, the girl. Ooh. Oh, hey, have you met my new pet owl?
Now, students, check out my new leather-bound book.
Oh, no. It's very durable.
Fireproof, too.
Mm-hmm. Tries to give it to Gallus with crazy eyes going on, so he's like, no, thank you. Are you sure? It's fireproof? I don't really want to have that particular type of binding on my books. It's like you're literally handing him a piece of your friend wrapped around his friend around her book. It's like, yeah, okay.
It gotten dark.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Let's see. Silas' identity issues. Trixie calls her to her office by knocking on the door because it's the one place she knows she could get a hold of her, and they, in a very polite but very firm manner, Glimmer tells Silver, it's like, office is closed. We're done here. You need to be getting onto the train.
I love how that one scene with the student pony, where the way when he knocks and peeks his head through again, she turns and gives him that snarl, and he just like, and the way he slides back around the door so slowly, and the door just slowly shuts behind him.
Well, as many times as Ponies knocked on his door, I wonder if at some point he got his stuff heard at some point between then, and and so like she'd actually cleared the deck at that point. But
quite possibly, hopefully.
Yeah. But then we get this exchange, which is interesting. Like, this talks more to her boundaries and whatnot. But Starlight, well, she never told me about a project. Well, she technically did, but Trixie, well, to be fair, you closed your office the last time she came by. Starlight, really? Trixie, and then Terramar, what kind of counselor turns away a student with a problem? Trixie, the kind with too much on her plate. Starlight has always gone out of her way for students, and I mean always. Starlight, except apparently when it matters. This is all my fault. You all go back to the party. Terramar will check the school. We'll find your sister. And yeah, so work-life balance is an Ursa. Technically, she told her. And we get some one-liners from Maud that just we could still have a party, a search party.
Yeah.
Let's see, doing a tag. Trixie, I have a lot of experience telling ponies that I have experienced the dangerous creatures of every forest. Follow
That
me.
favorite line.
It's technically
I
accurate.
know.
Because she has experience telling ponies that she has experience. Just
And I
doesn't
love
have
how they
experience
just
herself.
buy into that.
Like,
Yeah.
wait,
It's just like,
They probably went by so fast that they didn't have chance to really think through it. And they're like,
yeah.
what? You have
I have a lot of
experience?
experience in telling ponies that I have a lot of experience with dangerous creatures from the Everfree Forest.
I just love that line. It was just so awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those, goes by so fast that, it
It's one of
bluffs your
those
way
Jack
through.
Sparrow lines where, with the person who does the waking buys the person who does the sleeping a drink, while the person who does the sleeping hears a proposition from the person who does the waking.
That's gonna be my new line. It's like, I have lots of experience telling people I've experienced in this thing.
Yes. The great and directionally astute Trixie says we go left.
Yeah. And then we get a sequence of, them,
Tracker
Scooby-Doo.
Trixie.
Yeah, just following. You get Tracker Trixie, and the rest of them are just sort of trotting behind her. And,
Trixie, do you have any idea how to find a cockatrice? No, but usually when there's a dangerous creature in the forest I don't want to meet, this is how I meet them.
No, I would have been like this. Wait a second. Snap, snails.
Yeah. We should just go find those two ponies that always cause trouble. For me.
Well, to be fair, I mean, they haven't done it that often.
Well, they always cause trouble around Trixie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We get Mudbriar studying a stick he finds while they search. It's like he is completely disengaged from it because she's like tracking Trixie. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to take advantage and study the stick that I found. Terramar. According to Silverstream's research, the cockatrice prefers rocky terrain and ample shade. Trixie, rocks and shade. I can't imagine we'll find that in a forest. Maud, actually, rocks aren't the most hospitable environment for shade trees. Mudbriar, technically, pine trees like Pinus zimbra or Pinus sylvestris can grow from narrow crevasses or cracks in a rocky rhizosphere.
Maud Pie, you
complete
me.
Swoon.
I love that she says swoon.
It is kind
it's
of
not just like a swooning. She doesn't actually swoon. She's just like
swoon. and then we get one of the funnier exchanges in the whole bit. It's like, it's just lucky we're all over here and they're all over there. Mudbriar, technically.
Don't even say it.
This is exactly what she said. I just love that. Well, technically,
don't even say it.
I do love Mudbriar because it's so cute and it's so fun and
they are just the perfect OTP right there.
Yeah, like it's like Cadence and Shining Armor, like kind of the fairy tale thing going on. You don't really see at least in the
little too, I don't know. They're prince and princess, and it's
very generic. You don't really see why they like each other. Like, yes, there's nay anything, but that's in the comics, and it's sort of not technically part of the TV canon. I guess soft canon, but I think, but nay anything was great backstory to the kind of, how they met and why they sort of like each other. But like they haven't really had that in the show. It's just they just are,
yeah.
And then
when you see them together, it's it's too generically saccharine, you
Yeah,
know?
it is so generically
It's
sort of
so
sweet
like
and just
50s family, 50s nuclear family right there.
yeah,
They don't have any personality to it, you know?
yeah. They don't have it comes also from the characters not having a lot of faults in and of themselves.
Yeah.
They're a little too perfect. It's like
Yeah.
when you got Cranky and Matilda.
Exactly. It makes them dull.
Yeah, they're too perfect. Like somebody like Cranky and Matilda. Cranky has flaws. Matilda deals with those flaws, you know.
And
And
they
I'm
are they remind me of my grandparents.
yeah.
The
He's
ones
a
that are
grumpy
still
guy
alive.
and she thinks that's cute. I assume it seems like that's the way it is. It's like he's all grumpy and he's very, he's very frugal and whatnot, and she just thinks that he's just cute, and that's all there is to it. And but then you get in, the cakes. It's like they look nothing alike. They're not perfect, models. You wouldn't see
They
them on a runway, but they work together as a nice couple where you see them,
I,
where little bits you see of them.
yeah, and again they're pretty generic though, as far
Yeah,
as they are cookie cutter couple. Like, oh, he's the Jack Sprat and his wife type thing.
yeah, but at least you get a little bit of something of them when they struggle, when they're working together. You get a
Yeah.
little bit of something. Now, albeit, yeah, they don't have like you don't see
They're
what made them fall
flawed,
in love
so
with each other,
they're
but
not boring. They're not like that cookie cutter boring. But they are an overplayed trope, I guess you'd say, as far as background characters. They're just there as more of a plot point to move the story along rather than really giving you a lot of their character.
yeah. Well, it's like you can see, like you don't need to even ask why, Cranky and Matilda are interested. It's like it seems fairly obvious that, yeah, the reason you can see right now as they're living their lives why they fell in love with one another. The kind of
Yeah.
they each have personality. Matilda's more generic, but because she loves Cranky, that makes her a lot less generic. Because she's the kind that finds his crankiness cute. And so
Yeah.
that makes her a lot less generic, because not a lot find Cranky, you know, Cranky's personality.
She finds him endearing.
Yes, she finds him endearing. Most people would be off put by his crankiness. Um, but Maud and Mudbriar, it's like, yeah, I can totally see. Like they're both complete and utter nerds, and
They are.
completely obsessed with their topic, their particular expertise. They're both experts in their field, or seemingly. I'm sure he has a stick to it or something. And so, whatever the stick equivalent is, I'm sure they actually have. They would use something like some sort of tree. I forget what the Latin, Greek or Latin for tree is, but treeology. It's like arbor, arborist, or something. Well, that's probably somebody who works on trees, but he knows trees, and but they're both sort of deadpan. They're both very literal. Like
Yeah.
they're extremely
They
literal.
have a really dry sense of humor too.
Yeah, you can see. Oh, they both have just an arid sense of humor. Just
Yeah.
so dry. You need to have a cup of water if you're going to listen to them talk for more than a few minutes, because their sense of humor is just dry, and I love it. I absolutely love dry humor, but just like you can see, they share a sense of humor. They're both obsessed with their their particular fields. They complement each other in some ways, and they're both extremely literal. on how they do things. It's like, you said this, and so that's what I did. It's like, no, they didn't mean it literally. Well, they're the kind of ponies that would get it wrong. If you didn't mean something literally, they're the kind that would get it wrong. But they kind of, you can see how the puzzle pieces kind of mesh together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas other couples, like even couples we've had, again, like a lot more screen time, like Shining Armor and Cadence, it's like, yeah, they're just sort of generic. You don't really know, what.
It's too much that Cinderella and Prince Charming or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Aurora and Prince Charming or whatever. That's just so stereotypic, whatever. They don't really have a lot of. I mean, I haven't read the comics, so I don't know about their backstory.
Nay Anything is really nice. If you get a chance to read Nay Anything, it's really fun and it's really cute.
Okay.
Because it's basically, I won't spoil it for you, but they have a really cute meeting that they the way they sort of come together is kind of cute. But you never because it's in a sort of separate bin over here in comic continuity. They never bring that into. I don't think they've ever brought that into like main continuity, and we don't really see sort of like usually with couples you can kind of see where the sparks were, what lit this thing, because it kind of keeps going. Like you can kind of see every once in a while you'll see a spark of what what keeps them together and what makes them happy, with what makes them fall in love with each other. But like you can't see that because they never really address it. But yeah, if you get a chance to read Nay Anything, it's funny.
What number is that?
I don't know.
Because I would have to read all of the ones before it first.
It's very self-contained. In fact, it's a flashback. So
but even self-contained, I still first to last.
Nay Anything. There it is. Fourth arc of the comic series by Katie Cook, spanning issues 11 and 12.
So I would have to read issues 1 through 11 to get to that one. Well, whatever it is.
1 through 10. 11 and 12 would be the is Nay Anything. It's a
two-parter.
It's a two-parter. Yeah, it's a long story, but it's kind of cute. And Shining Armor is a massive dork. But in a way that you can't help but like. All right. Anyway, so getting back away from the shippiness, which I think, it's like seriously, we could chop some of these things off and like, oh, this is this and this is this, but it just gets stuck in a review episode. Like we could write these up as like separate little review notes, but like they just kind of get off on tangents, and it's like, yeah. Anyway,
well, eventually we get off on enough tangents, we go full circle.
Yeah. Trixie uses a smoke bomb to break sight lines with the encircling cluckers.
Which was a clever ruse.
Yeah. Sunburst. Mudbrier's been turned to stone. Maud, I didn't think I could love him anymore. So the group is chased to the castle of the two sisters. They get behind a door in a wall with no roof. The cockatrice is not a three-dimensional thinker. Like there's a wall with no ceiling, lots of places for a flying animal to get around, but they all patiently stay on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, they Maybe
not...
it's like regular chicken, like domesticated chickens that they can only fly so high.
Well, they didn't seem to have that problem too much, but the way how fast they were flying.
Well,
But,
they were flying fast, but not high.
But yeah, it's just like with all the ruins, there's got to be if there's even a rock or something on the, over the, next to the wall, hop on that, hop over it. It's like, um,
I think there were a lot of animals are more as far as that. It's more, oh, that is where they are. They're not thinking about going around to reach them. And unless the wall was short enough for them to actually flow around or over, they really wouldn't contemplate that.
They were probably just like, okay, we chased them out of our territory, that's enough.
There's that too.
Yeah. We get this exchange. This is all my fault. I'm never taking time off for my counseling duties again. Trixie, that seems a little extreme. So, really, if I hadn't galloped off to a holiday celebration, SolarStream would be safe with her family, and you'd all be enjoying Maud's party. Instead, my student is missing, we're surrounded by a flock of petrifying chicken snakes, and Maud's boyfriend was turned into a hunk of rock.
You got that hunk part right.
Yeah, it's like, oh goodness, Maud. Why must you make me love you more?
I love the expression when she's dragging his petrified corpse.
Yeah, SilverStream wanted to get her project done. We find out she wanted to get her project done before she left. So in the time between talking to Starlight and them finding her, she managed to tame a cockatrice named Edith, who was able to restore Mudbriar to normal. And then we get technically I'll always be a stick pony, but the experience has given me an even deeper appreciation for the density and permanence of rock. Swoon. Why are these two so fun?
Yes, but I love the fact that it's like, has that always been there? What? Oh, that's the student's treehouse. Apparently it grew out of the Tree of Harmony. Of course, that should have been the first place we looked. Yeah, she's not a really great counselor, is she?
She's just overwhelmed and panicked and not thinking clearly.
Stream pretty much says herself, it's like, yeah, your advice wasn't really that great. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we get the little final sort of exchange. I like that you're always available, but it kind of makes it okay to come to you with stuff that maybe isn't super important. Trixie, of course being a school counselor is a big responsibility, but always being at work isn't fair to any pony, especially me. Which, most characters, the way you'd write that was especially you. You're being unfair to yourself. Of course it's Trixie, so it's especially me.
Yeah, because Trixie's greatest flaw is
she loves Trixie a bit too much.
Well, she is very confident and self-aware because that's how she always has been. She just was raised by a show pony. She was raised to believe that if you are confident enough and you express that enough, other people will start buying into it too.
But Trixie loves her some Trixie. Do you think if I had set times to see me, it might help you decide what you really need to talk about? So, to be honest, you really weren't very helpful with the other stuff anyway. Yeah. Wait, what?
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, and it seems really interesting that Silverstream managed to freaking tame a cockatrice.
Yeah.
Somebody drew a really funny picture where they're getting chased by all the lizard chickens, and Starlight's like, "Wait, I have an idea." She pulls out Fluttershy. Fluttershy, I choose you. And she does stare.
But I was in Canterlot. How?
It's like stare.
Why are there all these Why are these cockatrices here? But yeah, it was a lot. It was a very fun episode, if nothing else, but for Maud Breyer just being Maud Breyer.
Yes, Maud Breyer OTP.
And my dirty mind, because I have to have a dirty mind, is imagining the lovemaking between those two.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh my god,
Right
it
there.
gets worse. But yeah, that would pretty much be it.
It would be very technically proficient, I would imagine. Maud Breyer would probably, they would probably read up on books and say, oh, well, this technique says this technique says this. Let us experiment.
It's like
That was 25% more pleasurable than previous times. Let's continue down this research branch.
Oh my god.
They'd probably they would probably, that would be part of their thing, would be, researching, oh, what's the best way to do this?
Of course.
Yes.
And they would have perfect communication.
Yeah. Well, since they're both literal, it's like, and they don't really have, egos on, they probably wouldn't have much of an ego on that sort of thing. It's like, yes, do this. Ah, yes, that's good. Now do that. It's like, yes.
Oh my god. This is horrible.
I kind of want to. What would be really funny would be to get get somebody who can do a good Maud Breyer voice and a Maud voice together, and just no actual pictures. I mean, somebody could draw that, but just the audio of what a session between those two would be like.
Oh my god.
That would be hilarious.
It sounds like the most boringest lovemaking ever.
Oh yes, that is very good. Continue. Increase your velocity.
It's like, Maud, I'm glad I'm not stone anymore, but there seems to be something missing from between my legs.
Oh, it's not missing. I have it right here.
And it's rock hard.
Oh, that's terrible. All right, before we get too out there, I guess we should wrap up. Any final thoughts on Student Counsel?
No, it was a good episode. I mean, when I first heard the name Student Council, I thought it was really gonna be
a Student 6 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like. What I thought was, going into it with a name like Student Council, is like, all right, this is gonna be they're running for class president or something, and there's somebody plays dirty or something like that, and they're just trying to compete for it, and they end up all losing to something. It's basically sort of almost not quite a retread of the initial ideas in Crusaders of the Lost Mark, where it's like they're having a student council thing, and you have different ones. They're all trying to, some of them are trying to get there, Gallus and Silverstream are vying for council places. Yona, maybe. I would love to see Yona's political political posters.
Yona best student council.
Yona smash competition.
Literally.
Man, Yona would make a great Hulk.
And Sandbar is her campaign manager. He's in a little suit.
Oh,
I just think that would be really cute. You have Yona and her normal stuff, and then Sandbar's in a suit. It's like, yes, Yona will smash her competition. Oh, yeah, that's what initially I thought it was gonna be, but they they definitely went in a way I wasn't expecting with that name. But still, you know, the student six aren't bad, but it's just nice every once in a while to get away from them a little bit, because they get a lot of attention because they've got the most places to grow.
Yeah,
But
they're the next
Yeah.
generation.
and it's kind of funny that they pretty much added new characters like that when this is pretty much the last season.
well, they added them last season. So
Yeah, they added them last season, the
I
beginning
know,
of last season.
still within like the last 2 seasons.
yeah, but they added some interesting things to do, and it gives them a little extra wiggle room with stuff to play with. But because they've played out a lot of the main sixes stuff, and they played out a lot of the CMC stuff, and they've even brought in like ex-villains or antagonists as heroes in an episode, like to Where and Back Again. It's like you've got a changeling, you got Discord, you got Trixie, and you got Starlight. All at one point villains, or at least vilified as antagonists. Or, at one point an antagonist of some stripe. And they're all trying to save the six. It's like, you've done a lot with it. I think adding Mudbriar is actually kind of genius, because it lets them use Maud more, because they can have, she comes with an extra character that they can play with.
Discord only cares because of Fluttershy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, he wasn't apathetic about the whole thing. He wanted to save Fluttershy. I'm going to save Fluttershy because I love Fluttershy. I'd tolerate the rest of you because I like Fluttershy.
Exactly. He's kind of like Hawkeye to the Avengers. The others are all like, they're there because they want to be heroes, and then he's there because of Fluttershy, just like Hawkeye's there because of Nat. Because Black Widow is there, he's there because they're best friends, and that's how he is with Fluttershy. It's just like, I tolerate the rest of you. You're all crazy, but I got nothing better to do.
All right. Okay, well, if that's all we've got to hit on this, which we did a lot on, we can move on. Is everybody good with that?
I'm good.
All right.